strength, style, softness. These gay athletes didn't just break records, they redefined what it means to win with pride. From Olympic podiums to football fields and frozen arenas, they proved that authenticity isn't a weakness, it's a superpower. In this episode of Rainbow Spotlight, we're counting down 6 openly gay athletes who turned pressure into presence and silence into spotlight. Some came out boldly. Some just moved in a way that made the whole internet pause. And one of them? He's so under the radar, you'll be asking, how is he real? Spoiler, top 2 will unlock something in you. They didn't just show up for Pride Month. They live it. Every rep, every medal, every perfectly timed wink that broke the algorithm. Because in 2024, queerness isn't on the sidelines. It runs the game. Drop your flag in the comments. Where are you watching from today? This is Pride, in motion, only on Rainbow Spotlight. Arthur Nory, the gymnast who turned grace into gay glory. When Arthur Nory competes, it's not just a performance, it's a moment. From the first tumble to the last salute, he doesn't just represent Brazil on the mat. He represents resilience, reinvention, and raw charm. An Olympic bronze medalist in gymnastics, Arthur rose to global fame after the Rio 2016 Games. But to the LGBTQ+ community, he became something more. A symbol of softness and strength, of vulnerability beneath the muscle. He wasn't just a champion, he was crush-worthy in every sense of the word. With his movie star smile, sculpted physique, and that slightly messy hair that says, "I didn't try but still look perfect," Arthur became the poster boy for a generation of queer fans looking for someone to root for and swoon over. But behind the beauty was a more powerful truth. For years, Arthur kept his personal life quiet. He never labeled himself publicly. But in 2021, he confirmed his relationship with another man via Instagram, posting soft photos, tender captions, and sharing love without apology. It wasn't a press release. It wasn't a big announcement. It was just real, and the internet felt it. And let's be honest, the way he did it? Iconic. A photo with his boyfriend, João Otávio Tasso, smiling and surfing, with the caption, "Surround yourself with what brings you peace." Suddenly, thousands of queer fans around the world saw themselves, not just in his strength, but in his softness. Arthur's journey hasn't been spotless. Like many athletes in the spotlight, he's faced criticism, scrutiny, and past controversies. But what makes him compelling is the way he's grown, on and off the mat. He's spoken about mental health, pressure, and the challenges of being vulnerable in a hyper-masculine sport. He's turned adversity into awareness, flaws into fuel. And through it all, he remains one of the most graceful athletes alive. Watching him flip is like watching choreography and physics fall in love. He lands like he belongs in the air. Arthur Nory's impact goes beyond medals. He made space in the world of elite sports for beauty, emotion, and queerness to coexist. He became proof that you can be powerful without being aggressive, open without explanation, and sexy as hell without even trying. Drop a 3 if you've ever seen one of Arthur's slow-motion routines and whispered, "Oh, he's not just talented, he's dangerous." Drop a fire emoji if his coming out moment made you believe in soft power. Colin Grafton, the figure skater who made queer elegance look effortless. Some athletes dominate with raw power. Colin Grafton? He dominates with grace and a stare that could melt Olympic ice. Colin is a professional figure skater from the US, best known in recent years for dazzling UK audiences as a pro skater on Dancing on Ice. But long before he was spinning on TV with celebrities, he was making history on the ice and making hearts race. Openly gay, unapologetically elegant, and impossibly charming, Colin represents a new era of queer athleticism, one that says, being beautiful doesn't make you any less of a threat. What sets him apart isn't just his technical skill, it's the presence. The way he carries his body like it's telling a story. The confidence in his performances, the softness in his lines, the strength under the softness. And the styling? Always flawless. black velvet, sheer mesh, pearls if he feels like it. Colin doesn't just skate, he curates a moment. But it wasn't always so confident. In interviews, Colin has spoken about the pressure of growing up gay in a sport that's both artistic and hyper-competitive. He's talked about feeling like he had to tone down his femininity just to be taken seriously. And how, over time, he decided he wouldn't shrink himself anymore. And once he stopped shrinking, the world paid attention. The queer community, especially younger fans, connected with his vulnerability, his aesthetic, his refusal to be boxed into one version of masculinity. Colin made space for the kinds of boys who grew up graceful, soft-spoken, and constantly asked if they were too much. Now he's not too much, he's just right, and everyone's watching. His partnership performances on Dancing on Ice have gone viral not just for the technique, but for the tension. The eye contact, the hands almost touching, the queer-coded elegance. Whether dancing with men or women, Colin brings a sensuality that feels equal parts classic and subversive. He's not just skating routines, he's embodying freedom. And honestly, he's hot. In a "I'll dance with you under the lights, then ghost you in French" kind of way. Colin Grafton didn't demand attention. He earned it. And he's become a beacon for those who want to be strong and soft, powerful and pretty, quiet and unforgettable. Drop a 2 if Colin ever made you want to take ice skating lessons, just to fall in love in slow motion. Drop a snowflake if you've ever watched one of his spins and whispered, "He's not even real." Tom Daley, from Olympic gold to queer gold standard. Tom Daley didn't just dive into water, he dove into the world's collective gay awakening. From the moment he stepped onto the Olympic stage at just 14 years old, Tom was already capturing attention. Adorably charming, British to the bone, with a physique that seemed to sculpt itself more each season, he quickly became one of the most recognizable and reblogged athletes in the world. Tumblr was obsessed. So was the internet queer hive. But Tom didn't stop at being a teenage heartthrob. He grew into a legacy. In 2013, at age 19, Tom came out publicly in a YouTube video that felt more like a journal entry than a statement. "Of course I still fancy girls," he said at the time. Soft, unsure, but honest. It was a messy truth, a human one. And the LGBTQ+ community embraced him completely. Since then, he's gone from boy figuring it out to full-blown icon status. He married Oscar-winning screenwriter Dustin Lance Black. He became a father. He came back to the Olympics again and again, this time stronger, clearer, and prouder than ever. And in 2021, he finally took home the gold in men's synchronized diving, becoming a symbol of resilience, reinvention, and queer triumph. But Tom's influence goes far beyond the pool. He knits. Yes, knits. His Instagram is full of hand-woven sweaters and Olympic cardigan realness. He's playful, stylish, domestic in a way that feels radical. In a hyper-masculine world, he said, "I'm soft, I'm powerful, and I'm proud." And he never looked back. He's also used his platform to fight for LGBTQ+ rights around the world, calling out anti-gay laws in countries that host the Olympics, advocating for visibility in sports, and mentoring younger queer athletes who still face the kind of silence he once fought through. What makes Tom so magnetic is the balance. He's both the fantasy and the father figure, the crush and the advocate, the Olympic gold medalist who also just wants to show you the socks he knitted on the plane. In a word, iconic. And yes, he still looks like he was carved by Greek gods with a skincare routine. Drop a 4 if Tom Daley made you realize that queerness can be fierce and tender. Drop a yarn emoji if you've ever wanted him to knit you a baby's first gay awakening sweater. Josh Cavallo, the footballer who came out and kicked down every barrier. For decades, professional men's football was considered one of the most closeted sports in the world. Hypermasculine, high stakes, and drenched in old-school locker room culture, it was a place where being openly gay wasn't just rare, it was almost unthinkable. Until Josh Cavallo changed everything. In 2021, Josh, a rising star playing for Adelaide United, became the first openly gay professional footballer in the world who was still actively competing in a top-tier men's league. And he didn't just come out with a quiet tweet. He did it with a heartfelt video that made global headlines, brought his teammates to tears, and had millions of queer fans cheering like he just scored the winning goal in extra time. But Josh isn't just a symbol or a moment, he's a real player. With speed, precision, and a sharp football IQ, he's proven that you can bring pride to the pitch without sacrificing performance. And yes, it helps that he's undeniably good-looking, clean-cut, calm energy, with eyes that say, "Respect me," and a jawline that says, "Edit me into a fan cam." What made his story hit so hard wasn't just the coming out itself, it was what followed. Hate, yes, but also love. Support from across the sports world, including messages from football legends, clubs, and LGBTQ+ athletes who never had the chance to say what Josh said out loud. He gave visibility to thousands who never saw themselves in a jersey before. Josh didn't back down after coming out. He stepped forward. He's since become an ambassador for inclusion in sports, speaking out at events, doing brand campaigns with pride messaging, and showing up not just as a gay footballer, but as a whole person. And he keeps playing, keeps pushing, keeps showing that queerness and athleticism are not at odds. They're just rarely allowed to coexist. Until now. For many queer fans around the world, Josh Cavallo represents more than a first. He's that rare mix of visibility, vulnerability, and talent. The kind of man who can change a sport, not with a viral moment, but with consistency, grace, and a pair of cleats that carry far more than just his weight. Drop a one if Josh Cavallo made you feel like football finally had room for you. Drop a lightning bolt if you're ready for a new generation of players and pride on the pitch. Robbie Manson, the rower who redefined quiet confidence. If there were an Olympic event for unbothered gay excellence, Robbie Manson would win gold without breaking a sweat. Tall, ripped, and reserved, with piercing eyes and a body that looks like it was built by ancient sculptors who also coded for Instagram thirst traps. Robbie Manson is the kind of athlete who turns heads before he even picks up an oar. But when he does, the water listens. Born in New Zealand, Robbie made international headlines in 2014 when he came out publicly, becoming one of the first elite-level male rowers in the world to do so. He didn't do it with fanfare. He didn't write a book or launch a rainbow campaign. He just told the truth. Casually. Clearly, and that simplicity made it all the more powerful. He didn't ask for attention, but he got it anyway, and not just for being gay. Robbie's performance on the water is nothing short of domination. In 2017, he set a world best time in men's single sculls, proving that queerness isn't a footnote in his story. It's part of the frame. He's not just a gay athlete. He's a damn good athlete who happens to be gay and happens to look like he came out of a GQ editorial between races. But behind the six-pack and sunglasses is a deeply thoughtful, often introverted man. In interviews, Robbie has spoken candidly about the mental health struggles that come with elite sports, about the pressure to constantly prove himself, about the loneliness of being different in a sport where uniformity is often praised. His honesty cuts through the noise. No drama, no brand deals for clout, just a man, his boat, and the current. For queer fans, Robbie Manson represents something rare, a quiet kind of power, not performative, not polished for likes, but raw, self-assured, and quietly revolutionary. He doesn't chase visibility, and that's exactly why so many see themselves in him. He's the guy you see in the gym and wonder if he's listening to techno or trauma. The guy who could lift a kayak in your emotional baggage. The kind of man who doesn't say much, but when he does, you listen. Drop a 5 if Robbie Manson made you believe that silence can be sexy, and pride doesn't have to shout. Drop a wave emoji if you've ever wanted to row off into the sunset with someone who just gets it. Luke Strong, the tattooed trampoline star. who refused to stay invisible. Luke Strong doesn't fit the mold, and honestly, that's why we love him. Trampoline gymnastics isn't exactly known for producing global icons, but when Luke Strong hit the scene, all that changed. British, bold, and built like your bisexual gym crush with commitment issues, Luke brought an edge to the sport that no one saw coming and couldn't look away from once it arrived. Covered in tattoos, fierce on the mat, and openly gay, Luke didn't just represent a sport, he disrupted its image. Born and raised in Liverpool, Luke's journey hasn't been smooth. He survived a horrific leg injury in 2009 that nearly ended his career and his ability to walk. Surgeons told him he might never compete again, but he came back stronger, faster, hungrier. As if the near-death moment flipped a switch that said, "You thought I was done? Watch me." And we did. Every flip, every landing, every shirtless selfie that made half of queer TikTok spiral. In 2020, Luke publicly came out in a BBC interview. Casual, matter-of-fact, and with zero apologies. "I never tried to hide it," he said, "but I also never felt the need to put a label on myself either." And just like that, the queer sports world claimed him instantly. Luke isn't polished like Tom Daley. He's not a soft-spoken romantic like Josh Cavallo. He's the guy who walks into the gym blasting grime music with his hoodie up and still nails the landing like it's choreography. He's attitude, he's energy. And he's proof that being visibly queer doesn't mean toning down your edge. But under the swagger is a real story, a survivor's story. A queer man who grew up in a sport full of judgment, survived injury and doubt, and came back not just whole, but hotter. He turned pain into power and inked his journey across his body for the world to see. And he's still training, still showing up, still proving that masculinity can be flexible, pierced, tattooed, and still bounce higher than anyone else in the room. Luke Strong isn't just strong by name, he's strong by legacy. Drop a 6 if Luke Strong made you realize gay strength doesn't always wear pastels. Drop a tattoo emoji if you've ever wanted someone to land in your life with that much heat and no warning. They didn't just come out. They showed up on the field, the mat, the ice, and in front of the world. These athletes didn't ask for permission to be seen. They owned their truth, played with pride, and redefined what strength looks like. Some are soft-spoken, some are bold. All of them made space for queerness in places it wasn't always welcome, and they did it without apology. Now it's your turn. Which of these men inspired you the most? Drop a 1 to 6 in the comments, and let us know where you're watching from because queer excellence is everywhere. This is Rainbow Spotlight, and this is what Pride in Motion looks like.